In a small town, there was a taxi driver named Ben. Ben was known for his bright yellow taxi, his friendly smile, and his love for chatting with his passengers. Every morning, he would start his engine and drive around the town, looking for people who needed a ride. One sunny day, as Ben was driving down Main Street, he saw an old lady standing at the corner. She was wearing a large hat and holding a small suitcase. Ben pulled over and smiled at her. "Where to, ma'am?" he asked cheerfully. "The train station, please," she replied in a soft voice. As they drove, the lady looked out of the window, lost in her thoughts. Ben tried to make conversation, but she only answered in short sentences. He decided to let her enjoy the ride in silence. They arrived at the train station, and Ben helped her with her suitcase. As she paid, she said, "Thank you, young man. You're very kind." Ben smiled and watched as she walked into the station. He didn't know why, but he felt like he should do something more. On a whim, he parked his taxi and followed her inside. "Ma'am, is everything all right? Do you need any help?" he asked. The lady looked surprised but then smiled. "Oh, dear, I'm fine, but thank you for asking. I'm just going to visit my granddaughter. It's been years since I last saw her." Ben's heart warmed at her words. "That's lovely. I hope you have a wonderful visit." As he turned to leave, the lady called out, "Wait, would you like to come with me? I could use some company. And I don't have anyone else." Ben was stunned. He had never received such an invitation from a stranger. But something in her eyes made him say, "Yes, I'd like that very much." So, they boarded the train together. During the journey, the lady, whose name was Mrs. Harper, told Ben about her life. She had been a teacher, and she loved gardening. Ben shared stories about his taxi adventures and his dreams of traveling. When they arrived, Mrs. Harper's granddaughter, Lucy, was waiting at the station. She was surprised but delighted to meet Ben. "Grandma, you brought a friend. How wonderful." They spent the day together, exploring the town, laughing, and sharing stories. Ben felt like he was part of their family. In the evening, Mrs. Harper insisted on treating Ben to dinner as a thank you for his company. The next day, Ben had to return to his town. Mrs. Harper and Lucy came to see him off. There were hugs and promises to stay in touch. As Ben sat on the train back home, he realized how a simple act of kindness had led to an unexpected journey and new friendships. He smiled, looking forward to his next adventure as a taxi driver. From that day on, Ben wasn't just a taxi driver. He was a friend to those who needed one, always ready to lend an ear or a helping hand. And every time he passed the train station, he remembered the day he took a chance and it changed his life.